Welcome to the DoubleACS Daily News. The city of Attleboro is one step closer to opening up a homeless shelter for those in need. We spoke with State Representative Jim Hawkins to learn more.
I'm Jim Hawkins, State Representative in Attleboro, and we're very happy to announce that we've done a purchase and sales agreement on a piece of property for the homeless facility in Attleboro. This has become a work. We're partners in this project with NeighborWorks, who will manage the building, with Father Bill's in Mainspring, who will manage the permanent supported housing units, and Catholic Social Services, who will manage the emergency beds, and Bay Coast Bank, who's been our sponsor through the whole process. It started out with a lack of any sort of support housing for homeless people in all of northern Bristol County. There's one crisis center in Taunton, which at the moment only has 8 beds for all of northern Bristol County. So it's been a huge void in our services. The way this is going to be set up, it'll have 18 crisis beds on the first floor, and on the second and third floor, it'll have 20 permanent supported housing units. The crisis beds are just that, it's just crisis beds. They're not intended for anybody to stay there, but there is upstairs this permanent supported housing unit, which is a little studio built to code so that only one person can live there, and it'll have air conditioning, television, kitchenette, bathroom, shower, so somebody can have their own private space. Because of the way we have this set up, we'll be able to offer on-site services for literacy, addiction, mental health. It's located not downtown, but near enough to downtown that people could walk to Sturdy Hospital, Library, Senior Center, Literacy Center, 95 Pine Street. Any of the service providers in the city, Column Health, will all be within walking distance of it. Those were the parameters. It was a little difficult to find the location because it can't be in a residential neighborhood, it can't be in a retail neighborhood, it can't be any place that there's been a factory because of hazardous waste. The state won't approve grants for anything that even has a whiff of contamination. So many places that it can't be, and really it doesn't make sense to renovate a building because the requirements are so rigid now. A lot of the homeless shelters had to depopulate last year for social distancing. This has been designed during a pandemic, so this will never happen. There's barriers, there's social distancing, there's building ventilation, all appropriate to a pandemic, so we're never going to have to depopulate. The other thing, this is cutting edge to have both the crisis beds and the housing in the same building. There's one building that NeighborWorks is building in Quincy that's set up this way. Other than that, we're the first in the state to do it this way. CCBC has certainly been a partner with homeless efforts in the city. They have housing now. CCBC and Attleboro Interfaith, I think CCBC took the lead on this to set up hotel rooms in Rainham in lieu of the fact that we were never going to have a cold weather shelter. And in the first week, they got several people into housing, I think 4 or 5 people into housing. 3 people started recovery, and 1 person was reunited with his family, like in the first week. So we know that this works. If somebody has a safe place to sleep at night, they can take a shower in the morning, they eat 3 meals a day. The possibility of thinking about some sort of program for recovery to deal with past trauma, to deal with an addiction, to deal with any of those things becomes much more realistic. And the facilities are right there and available. Father Bill's in Mainspring has housing units like this, and typically people stay there for 2 or 3 years. Either once they're in recovery and more functional, or have gotten their literacy or GED or whatever it was that was holding them back from sustaining themselves, they're ready to move on. Maybe they want to move in with somebody, maybe they want a bigger place to live. But most people, they never get kicked out because there's no timeline on how long it takes to recover from addiction or how long it takes to deal with past trauma. But most people leave in 2 or 3 years. So I've been criticized for saying this would end homelessness, but for a lot of people, it will end homelessness. And we have people in the city, the point in time count I think is around 25. We think it's more like 40. We have chronic homeless people in the city that have lived in tents and doorways and alleyways for 20 years. And this is a chance to help them and make them productive members of our community.